As somebody who's self-studied math for a number of years, I feel like I have a lot of experience in doing it, and I can give you guys a lot of tips for doing it because there are definitely good ways to do it and then not so good ways to do it. And obviously there isn't a right or wrong way, but there are things that'll help you and things that'll hinder you. And I just wanted to give you guys some tips so that you can make the most out of your experience. So number one is don't rush through all the problems. I know reading a book, if you're reading a book or something like that, like a PDF or whatever you prefer, it can be long. You can have 1,000 pages to read, and you might be really excited to go through everything, and you might want to try to finish that in 2 weeks or something. That's not a good idea because if you really want to learn, you have to take your time. You can't rush through it. I mean, listen, there's some prodigies, I'm sure, but for the most part, you can't really just rush through something and expect to pick everything up. It takes time to learn. You can't, if you take in too much information, you're going to confuse yourself. It's not going to be good, especially with topics that are very advanced. Things get very confusing very quickly. So you want to take your time and really just read things slowly, carefully, because math can be very precise, and you want to make sure you get those details, those little precise details down, and then that way you'll be able to understand things a lot better. And that does lead into another thing, which is doing as many practice problems as you can. Practice problems will always help you, even if you're like, oh yeah, I understand this, it's fine. I can just move on to the next chapter. I know you can be tempted to do that, but just do some of the practice problems, at least like some of them. You don't have to do all of them. I know some at the end of every chapter, some authors have like 100 practice problems, and that can be too much. Do whatever you feel is right. I know it can be hard because you're generally used to school where they give you a certain number of problems and you're like, okay, I do them and then turn it in. But now, you don't have to do everything. You should definitely do some. Do whatever you feel is right. If maybe do a little more than what you feel is right. I think that's a good piece of advice because sometimes you think you get it, but you really don't, and so you want to just do as many as you can that you feel like you're good with. So once you get to a point where it's like, oh yeah, I got this. Like I'm doing all these problems, getting them right. This having answer keys really help, but you're getting all of them right, and you understand everything. Awesome, you can move on to the next thing. But just keep in mind to do as many practice problems as you can. That's my second piece of advice. That also leads into trying to understand why behind something. Don't just read it and then just be like, okay, I understand. I've done all these problems. I get them right. Move on. Don't try to memorize. I wouldn't recommend trying to memorize something like that. Maybe formulas you can try to memorize, but I try to really push to have people understand why, because that's pretty much all of math, other than you have definitions and stuff, which they're true because we say they're true, like definitions and axioms and stuff like that, but beyond that, everything has a reason. There's a reason for every theorem. There may be many reasons for every theorem, and you want to try to understand why, and not just, okay, I read it, makes sense, cool, let's move on. Dive deeper, ask more questions. If the author doesn't really think about like answer any of your questions, look online. And that's another thing. Use a variety of resources. Don't just stick to one medium. Don't just be reading books. Don't just watch videos. Use a variety. Maybe your primary method is to read a book, which is a good idea. Read a book, and then if you don't understand something, even after reading it like 20 times or something, maybe go on YouTube, see if there's something on there. Maybe go on Stack Exchange or something, or something like that. Anything helps. And if you learn primarily through one method, then great. But it's always good to just get a mix of things. And every author has a different take on certain topics, and so it may be good to read several books on one topic if you're really interested in it, because you'll always get new insights and stuff like that. And my last tip here is to join communities, whether that's in person or online. Like if you go to college and you have a math club, join it. Why not? Or there are different online communities on different social media sites. There's like Stack Exchange, Reddit, Discord. There's so many different places where you can see, you can find other math people and talk about things. Sometimes some communities are more casual, some are more, just math based entirely. But it's always good to, interact with more people about these types of topics, and have a place where you can ask questions and see what other people say. Or even if you don't ask any questions, you're interested in something and you want to learn more, or you want to talk to people about it, anything like that, anything helps. And I'd always recommend joining these communities, like I said, whether it's online, in person, whatever you want. So yeah, I hope these tips were helpful for you, and if you have any questions for me, please let me know in the comments. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye guys.